What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Andrew. This is my 2016 Harley Davidson Road Glide Ultra, and in this video we're going to add an ignition delete kit, which essentially what it does is it eliminates your ignition switch, replaces it with a push button ignition, and I think it's going to be kind of cool. So this kit comes from Wright Customs. All their stuff is kind of made to order, basically. So when you do order this, it takes a few weeks to get shipped, which I didn't really have a problem with. It's been winter, so not really riding anyways. Actually, I've had it for a little while as well, but it's been so cold I couldn't even be out in the garage to do anything. So in this video, we're going to try to get it installed. I'll walk you through it. I've never done it before, so it's the first time for me as well. So we'll see if I run into any issues, and hopefully we can solve whatever comes up. All right, so the first thing it's telling us to do is remove this screw and the one on the other side, which is exactly the same, T25. And then these 4 screws, 2 on each side, these fork screws. Notice this apron comes off when you remove these 4 screws, so just make sure you kind of have your hand on this just in case so it doesn't drop off. So this one you want to have the key in the ignition, and then you'll find a button switch underneath here on the left side. It's like a square button. And then you want to turn your key to the left, and this whole thing will slide right out. There's a spring here, but that's about the only thing you have to worry about losing. So definitely, if you're thinking about doing this modification, that's one thing to consider, because you won't have a fork lock on your motorcycle any longer. All right, so I'm going to pull this little horseshoe bezel deal off here. There's like a little knot or a little clip. You won't be able to see it on the camera, but there is a little clip in here. Might find it necessary to use a pick so you can kind of get in there. Push on that clip, and then that'll just pop right off. This is a replacement that I got on, I don't know, Amazon or eBay or something, because my last one was broken, but it was also chrome and I wanted black. So this little button here is the button that you need to push on when you're trying to release this ignition switch. So put your key in, push up on this button, and turn your key to the left, and that will release this so it's able to be removed. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out of the way right away. There's all these plugs on here. Let me get around to the other side so I can see. Now these gauges I have in mine are Dakota Digital. So this setup may be a little bit different on yours. But in any case, you will definitely have things on the back side of this that you need to unplug before you can remove it, just in case. just in case you've never had this apart before. So in here, we got a bunch of wires. You may not see all of these wires in yours. I've got a lot of stuff going on this motorcycle between the digital gauges and just different components and things like that. There's a lot of stuff going on behind my instrument cluster. You guys probably will not have all these wires. My instructions now say remove stock ignition tumbler, remove panel and tumbler and housing. I believe these screws are 5/32. It's feeling about right. So there should be one on each side here. All right, so yeah, that slid right out. And then we can remove the ignition plug here. And there you go. All right, and from there we've got this kind of wire harness looking thing. This end connects to that wire connector that we just unplugged from the ignition. I'm just gonna hang this on my cup holder here. This end is your power, and we're gonna run that through here into the inside of the fairing. So that's the next step. We got to take the front of the fairing off. I'm sure by now everybody's seen this done multiple times, so I'm just going to kind of go through it really quick. Assuming that you've seen how this is done. If not, the last video I did, I was pretty detailed in how this thing comes apart and goes back together. So just check out the Denali headlight video that I previously uploaded right before this one. All right, so we need to get this power cord into the inside of the fairing now. So I'm gonna, let's see, go around to this side, I think. So we need to figure out where we can run this through and hopefully follow some other wires along with it. This is your ignition wire. So I'm going to just try to run this other wire kind of right along with that one. All right, so what I've done is I've run it down through here. It comes out down here. And this is where it may get kind of difficult for you guys to be able to see what's going on. But basically, run it through your housing, and then in the neck here, there's an access on the side. It's on either side of the motorcycle. It's right in here. All right, I'm gonna pull the headlight out real quick so we can have more space to work, so we can access that wire easier, run it better. I don't even think I can get to it at all without taking this headlight out. hopefully be able to show you easier that we'll stick this cord through the neck here, and then from there you can already see it sticking out right here. And I want to try to run it the way that kind of makes the most sense, I guess. All right, so I want to try to just kind of run it so it's, I don't know, behind all this other junk. Because what we need to do, sorry, I know you guys can't really see what's going on, but hopefully it'll all come together and make sense in moments here. Because where I'm trying to get to is right here. And I do have another piece that will plug into here also once I put my, once I put the panel back on. That vent light also plugs into here. But we can plug this in for now. Now this is going to give us power to our ignition. Now that we're to a place where we've got power going to this, I think the best thing to do would be to start putting the speedometer cluster back together. I'm going to do a little zip tie on these wires. I'm going to bring in the speedometer cluster and get that all hooked back up and kind of into position. And then we'll work on plugging all this stuff in. These guys plugged in, and again, this is different than what you guys are going to have on yours, unless you have the Dakota digital gauges. Then it'll be pretty similar. And then all of our new wires I'm going to run up through here so we can finish hooking up our push button ignition switch delete kit, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, there we go. Helps if you pull the housing back up into place, right? Okay, so I'm not going to tighten that down quite yet. Now for this piece, like I mentioned earlier, I got this off of Amazon or eBay or whatever, so no big deal. But I had cut room for the buttons. All right, so basically what we've got going on here is they send you the top plate, which you can get either black or chrome, and then a back plate. And after you've cut out your bezel so that the holes all line up, you just sandwich that bezel between these two metal plates. And then the buttons, you tighten them down here with these nuts, and that just holds everything together. I'm going to get these other buttons, kind of make sure that they fit. And once I know they can all fit, then I'll take the little buttons out again so I can snug up this this big one. All right, there is really not a lot of room to get any kind of pliers or wrench on here to tighten these down, so I just have them pretty snug so they're not able to wiggle around too much. Basically, you just have to decide which one of these buttons you want to be your accessory on switch. I think I'm going to do, for mine, the right one will be the accessory on switch. All of these will plug into these little red connectors. All right, all my red connectors are together. And then I'll run these from my left button down to here. And then my big connector here connects to the big button. Like so. So now these, like I said, are for like an accessory if you want to hook up an accessory. So these will have power, so we want to make sure they're covered up. And then all of this will go into this heat shrink, and we'll heat shrink this. But let's make sure that this does what it's supposed to do. So this should be accessory on. Which it is. And this one should be ignition on. Which it is. So that everything's working. So now we can put all this in here. I think before I do that, I'm going to reassemble all of this because I want to be sure that the wires are going to be able to kind of hide in here a little bit. And I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. I don't want them hanging down, rubbing on things and things like that. All these screws and bolts and whatnot should go in nice and easy. So if they're not, just keep adjusting things until they do go in nice and easy, because you definitely don't want to strip any of this stuff out. It's just going to cause you a lot of headaches in the long run. And of course, don't even try to tighten anything down until you've got all your screws lined up and, you know, started. All right, so since this part is pretty much put back together, I'm really playing Russian roulette with this headlight here. I should put the fairing back together, but I'm gonna get this tucked in here. I'm just struggling a little bit to get this bezel in place. I think it's because I've got an aftermarket bezel that was a little bit of a challenge. All right, and this is where my mic died and I didn't realize it. So basically now I'm just showing you how the buttons work. Everything's put back together. I still need to put the outer fairing and all that back together, but that's not super important for this video. So yeah, I think, you know, this is one of those modifications that's pretty unnecessary. There isn't really any reason that you would need to do this. It's just a cool thing I had been looking at and was kind of interested in, and decided I wanted to buy the parts and do this video. So hopefully it's something that you guys enjoy. Let me know in the comments down below, you know, what do you think about it? Is it something you would consider doing? And that's about it. So hey, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Stay safe out there as always. Have a good one, and I will catch you in the next video. Cheers.
Start it up.